finally, it happened. I was able to convince my wife to join me on the other side. For the longest time, I've been teasing my wife if I could get her an iPhone. But my wife, being ever so thrifty, wants to stick with her Android phone. Luckily, Beyond the Box currently has an ongoing promotion wherein you can get the 64GB variant of the iPhone 11 for only 25,190 pesos, which I think is a pretty sweet deal, considering you'll also get a free premium Casetify Ultra Impact case. This is probably one of the more affordable options if you want to enter the Apple ecosystem. Maybe you just want to experience having an iPhone, or like in my case, you want to convince your loved one to join you and enjoy the benefits of being in the same ecosystem with FaceTime, iMessage, and share your Apple family subscription, which is actually also one of my goals. So yeah, in this video, we'll take a look at the iPhone 11 and find out if it's still pretty good as a daily driver this year 2023. Let's get into it. Now, unlike the latest iPhones, the packaging of the iPhone 11 still has a plastic cover, but other than that, it feels essentially the same. Inside the box, we have the iPhone 11 itself, the USB-C to Lightning charging cable, some paperwork, an Apple sticker, and a SIM ejector pin. Pretty standard package contents. At first look and touch, the thing that strikes me the most is the nostalgic rounded form factor with curved edges, especially when compared to the latest iPhones, which feature a more blocky form factor with flat sides. It weighs around 192 grams, and in my opinion, this is more comfortable to hold. However, it has thicker bezels compared to most modern phones. Other than that, it is still relatively slim and essentially shares most of the design characteristics of the modern iPhones. In front, we have a 6.1-inch Liquid Retina IPS display with a 1792 by 828 resolution, 326 ppi, and up to 625 nits of brightness. Up top, we have the iconic notch that houses the sensors, the secondary speaker and microphone, and the 12-megapixel selfie camera. Looking at the left side, we have the silent mode switch and the individual volume buttons. We can also see here the iconic antenna lines in between the curved aluminum body. On the other side, we have the power button, as well as the SIM card tray that supports a single nano SIM card, and of course, no SD card slot. Up top, we don't have anything here, and at the bottom, we have the primary speaker and microphone and the lightning port. Now, looking at the back, we have a glass surface, the iconic Apple logo at the center, and a dual camera system that features a 12-megapixel wide camera, a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and a two-tone flash. Even though it is almost 4 years now since its release, you can still update it to the latest iOS version, and upon using it for a few weeks as my daily driver, it didn't feel significantly sluggish at all and can still keep up with my daily needs. More on that later. Now, in terms of specifications, aside from the things that I've already mentioned, it also has an Apple A13 Bionic processor, which is still pretty capable, I would say. More on that later. We have 64GB of internal storage, 4GB of RAM, and a 3110 mAh of battery with key wireless charging support. Speaking of wireless charging, it doesn't support MagSafe, so that's one thing worth noting here. Now, before we discuss its display, let me share with you my tried and tested tempered glass for iPhones, which is this one from Mocoll. I've used this on my iPhone 13 Pro Max, my iPhone 14 Pro Max, and now on this iPhone 11. What I like about this is that it is super smooth and responsive that you wouldn't even feel you have tempered glass. I also bought this from Beyond the Box, and I'll put some links below if you're interested. Alright, so when it comes to the display, although it only has up to 60Hz refresh rate and is not AMOLED like some similarly priced Android phones, everything else is pretty good. The colors, saturation, contrast, and sharpness passed my eye test. And the viewing angles, as you can tell, are fairly good as well. Brightness levels are also quite adequate, more than enough for indoor use and substantial enough for outdoor. Honestly, most people will be satisfied with the display quality of the iPhone 11, unless you're into mobile gaming and are used to a higher refresh rate. In terms of sound quality, it's also fairly decent. We have stereo speakers taking advantage of the earpiece, albeit noticeably less powerful compared to the bottom primary speaker. And this is also the usual setup even for some modern Android phones. The only difference, I think, is some Android phones have that feature wherein you can push the volume over 100%. But overall, the stereo speakers on the iPhone 11 are still quite adequate. Alright, so do you think it is worth it to upgrade to the new iPhone 14 Pro Max? Well, it depends. Honestly, most of the upgrades on this new phone are more about quality of life improvements rather than an astronomical jump, especially if you compare it to last year's iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, when it comes to the camera, we only have two 12-megapixel cameras here at the back, but unlike most modern, similarly priced Android phones that unfortunately ditch the ultra-wide-angle lens, we still have that here. And honestly, I'll take an ultra-wide-angle lens over the telephoto lens and definitely over the rather useless depth sensor or even a macro lens. And the image quality these 12 megapixel cameras can produce can still keep up with today's standards, especially for quick snaps and social media postings. Here are some sample photos that I took. Even the 12 megapixel selfie camera is decent enough as well. Mind you, this is a flagship phone from a few years back, so the image quality can definitely keep up. The camera capability and features of the iPhone 11 are more than enough for my wife, since mostly we're just taking photos of our little boy Gio. Even the video quality is good thanks to the built-in optical image stabilization. I'm quite impressed by the video quality and substantial enough for our social media posting for family memories. Overall, the camera system may lack some modern features, but it definitely offers all the bare essentials and most importantly, good image quality that can still keep up. Now, battery life is okay. I'm getting around 4 hours of screen time, and the only drawback that personally is a deal breaker for me is that it doesn't have MagSafe support, just regular key wireless charging. While it's still useful, having MagSafe support is far more convenient, especially considering this, of course, still has a Lightning port. However, since my wife is already used to charging her Android phone via a wired connection, I don't think this will bother her that much. In terms of the user interface, since you can update it to the latest iOS version 16.4.1, you can still take advantage of the latest features, look and feel that are supported with this model. For the most part, browsing through the user interface is fairly decent. It is still smooth and stable. However, if you compare this with the latest iPhone 14 or even the iPhone 13, you will definitely notice the difference in terms of overall feel, which leads us to probably the most important aspect here, which is performance. Even though it cannot keep up with the latest iPhone models when it comes to raw performance, if you compare this with most similarly priced mid-range Android phones, it can still match if not beat them when it comes to processor performance. With an Antutu benchmark score of over 550,000, as you can see, it's still on par with similarly priced latest Android phones. Granted, these Android phones offer more modern features and capabilities, but when it comes to raw hardware performance, the iPhone 11 can definitely keep up. As for gaming, I had no problems running Mobile Legends at maximum settings. The performance is very smooth. Well, that's already a given since even budget phones can run this game fairly well. Call of Duty Mobile at maximum settings is also fairly smooth and reliable for competitive matches. For more graphics-intensive game like Diablo Immortal, you may notice some slight hiccups, but not to the extent that it affects the overall decent gaming experience. Unfortunately, the ultra graphics settings is not available for the iPhone 11. In Genshin Impact, the default settings are high and 30 FPS, and bumping it to 60 FPS, you're still going to get a fairly smooth gaming experience. But like with Diablo Immortal, you may sometimes encounter frame drops, but nothing too jarring. Bumping it to the highest quality and 60 FPS proved to be a bit much for the iPhone 11 though, so high at 60 FPS is the way to go. Thermals after a good amount of gaming sessions are quite good as well, just over 31 degrees. Overall gaming wise, it can also keep up with some of the most popular mobile games out in the Apple Store. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not convincing you to get the iPhone 11. I'm simply sharing with you my thoughts about it in relation to today's standard and in case you're contemplating on switching to the Apple ecosystem without necessarily breaking the bank and compromising much when it comes to performance and features. And at the end of the day, it's still up to you, your budget and your needs, and of course, your desire to try something different. With that said, what I like about the iPhone 11 is the still capable performance in terms of processing power, camera quality, display, speakers, and all the bare essentials. On the other side of things, what I don't like about this is the rather dated thick bezels that I simply cannot ignore and the lack of MagSafe support. Other than that, all the other modern features of the latest phones are just a bonus for me. Now, I can finally hand this over to my wife as my birthday gift to her. And there you have it guys, thank you for watching. Huge thanks to Beyond the Box for the very sweet deal. Again, you can get the 64GB variant of the iPhone 11 for only 25,190 pesos with a free Case Defy Ultra Impact case. This promo is until July 31, 2023, so you have an ample amount of time to decide. I'll put some links below if you're interested. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day guys, you're awesome.